Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode today for the Old World Almanac, because there was two today. Hmm. Busy day for the Strength Hammer world, where podcast release, morning article, now an afternoon article, because I'm a little bit behind, because I'm also doing my real job. Anyway, let's get on in here to the Old World Almanac Designers Roundtable, Past and Future Stone Cold Classic. Now, I did read through this a couple times. There's a part where some decisions are made that I understand reasoning behind it. Not super keen on it, but we'll get there when we get there. I don't want to be too poo-pooing on it because this game's fresh, it's new, and there's a lot that can change. And this community, we can obviously voice our opinions for positive change in the direction we want. But for now, I don't think it's doom and gloom. Anyway, let's see. How long has Warhammer the Old World been in development? 5 years from what they've said here, which makes sense. We saw it about 4 years ago, which I'm actually kind of surprised we saw it that early, but hey, you know what? I'm glad they took their time with it because there's a lot of love and care put into this, and it's very clear that there's um, a plan going forward, that hopefully we see it grow over time beyond what this scope is. But this starting scope feels like a solid foundation to work off of. Right, the game's built as a new game rather than a continuation of Warhammer Fantasy, and then they said they embraced that. They wanted to be nostalgia. They wanted to be recognizable as Warhammer Fantasy in a way, but they want to be able to do new things with it. So they take the framing fantasy battle as a window of certain time periods, heading to the old world, which is the end times. This is shifting it back, so they have more room to work. Been a lot of work done to ensure these things resonate with people who love the Warhammer fantasy battles, but there's new framing, the new heraldry for options for Bretonian symbolism, leaning more heavily into the areas that we couldn't before. Game itself is very familiar, but supposed to be nostalgic, but a lot more developments on the way, which I'm really excited for because, you know, they're just going to improve the setting. I feel. I don't think it's going to hurt the setting. It's going to take what we loved and improve upon it in a good way, in its own way. That's some great art right there. Anyway, let's see. In the studio, the likening between Warhammer the Old World and Warhammer Horus Heresy. That makes sense. It's an older, feels like an older version of the game, but also like I like how the magic's separated throughout now. Horus Heresy I think was the first to do that. The new 40k did that. So some things will be familiar from the old game systems to people, and everyone coming in new will be just fine as well. One of the exciting things about this project in the area is there's lots of things we can bring back, molds and tools willing. This next part gets really exciting actually for me. A lot of invisible work in the old world project behind the scenes, finding old miniatures in the archive, rebasing, trying to consider what elements we wanted to bring back, what's going to excite people, what's too much, which we not put in. That was a thought. Because I'm sure there was thoughts before Age of Sigmar was finalized that might be leaning more towards Age of Sigmar from the fantasy idea. That would just be too much for this setting. So I'm glad they're taking that nice even-handed approach. What's more, plenty of the heavy metal miniatures, the originals, are lost in damage, wear, and tear. That's an unfortunate part of life. Paying new versions of these with a massive project, handful of people. Some stuck to the original schemes. More often, people look to present them in new modern ways. Love that too, because things have changed a lot in the time from then to now with painting and skills and how we want to show an army off. So that's great to see. Spent a long time hunting the Warhammer archives, warehouses, and hidden corners of factory. Which treasures are returning? This is very exciting. Loads of great stuff's coming back. Part of the process involved looking at old kits, how to remake them. Large metal kits are difficult to make, so they remaster the old masters. When we make giants and war machines, begin the process of resculpting them with an eye for preserving detail while making construction process easier before retooling and recasting the kits as Forge World resin. Fine with that. Forge World resin is a solid resin. It's not fine cast. It's great. Lots of detail, very sturdy. So I'm glad they're touching up the old kits too a little bit in some ways, make it maybe less spindly in some. We'll see. But I'm happy they're putting such care and effort into it. Let's see. They spent ages in archives searching for the classic heavy metal models, and production guys worked hard to get the old molds and tools out of the mothballs. Lots of cutting new molds, polishing old tools. But it's not old stock. None of the models we're releasing were found on a pallet. So that is great. Actually, yeah. Everybody's from a slightly different generation. Rob and I spent time in the archives. things one person was excited about, the other person wasn't excited about because it was before their time. That makes sense. We're all in this different levels. I have friends who've been there since 4th or 5th. I was here 8th. That's just how it goes. See, there's one Bretonnian model coming out that has been designed decades ago and was never released. Incredible able to find things like this buried in the back of a cupboard. That is cool. Like, how much of that sort of stuff is just hiding out in Games Workshop's warehouses, stuff that was made, not released for one reason or the other. Like, it's like, oh, like, what treasures are hiding? And that's cool that we're going to get something like that. I do hope they tell us which one, just because it'd be like, ooh, what could have been? You know, like that Warhammer what if. All right, how would these rarities be made available? See, some collectible metal models and oddities from the Warhammer history of Warhammer Fantasy battles will be available on a made-to-order basis. That makes sense. That's how they do it. I'm glad they're doing it. Whereas everything else you expect to see for representing unit profiles will be available normally. That's great. I can just walk into a store and hopefully find what I need if I need more High Elf Spearmen or something. For most units, most recent versions will act as your standard miniature for Warhammer, the old world, but we could bring back older versions for collectors or people who want an alternative. So yeah, if you want, like, I know High Elf specifically, like Swordmasters. There's the new ones that are part of Island of Blood, but there's the old metal ones. Both are cool, but yeah, it just depends how you want it. Have you blended the new with the old? Old armies are quite flat, that's true. With lots of troops, same height, monsters were kept smaller on purpose to maintain low fantasy aesthetic. In part, however, it was also because old tooling, machining at the time, that's what they could accomplish. We can achieve so much more technology, now decide to have a massive monster, and then choose to create it without any issues. That's very true. Look at it. Archeon, Teclis, like all these great models. Marathi. So we're far away from the time when something like the old Elven Dragon was a huge physical challenge, and that's brought on our horizons. So that's cool to see. We can make maybe like a few big beastie monsters here and there. All right. As models being designed now, we're looking at silhouettes, how the models fit into units, which, yeah, it looks like we're putting heroes in units again. See, miniatures have to look brilliant, but they have to find a place in someone's collection too. All done with much intentionality. Great. Just kudos. That's a great way to take a look at it. People's expectations have also changed in a lot of time what we're doing, but also the balance, the aesthetic and visual identity makes sense in the Warhammer the Old World, which I like. I mean, they're making it something we want, but they're keeping it within the setting firmly, so that's fun. Okay, now for the bit of news that's going to cause some issues, I think, within the community. When we go into this, like I said, I had to read this a couple times and digest it. It's not doom and gloom. It's not the best news. It's not something I'm technically keen for. I know there's reasoning behind it. I don't, like full reasoning might be balance. It might be a number of things that I don't know. But let's just dive into it. And we just have this. This is life, so we have to accept it. But always offer up our feedback in positive ways, so we can hopefully get the change that we might want in the world. All right, what about legacy factions? A few of the factions from the previous Warhammer Fantasy Battle game will not feature in Warhammer the Old World. This is in terms of the game rules, model ranges, and ongoing background narrative. Okay, we knew that going forward. I think calling out the model range is a little interesting because a lot of the stuff you can still go buy. It's in their Age of Sigmar. I'm not sure if they want to keep it separate, but it is what it is. There's their reasoning. And they kind of told us this for a while, so we weren't expecting these to be boom updated and supported right away. We knew they were going to be the legacy ones, but we knew they were going to get rules. So these legacy factions will, however, get free downloadable army lists, so people can try out the new system using their older model collections. That's great. That's super appreciated. The only one of these that I have would technically be Dark Elves, so that's my one legacy army. Still love it. I have a friend that's his main army, so he might have a tougher time, but we'll figure it out. But only tougher time within one point here. So more about this in the coming weeks. Sorry, so hold our horses. We'll see more as we go. But please note that they won't be considered legal for tournaments. I'll be very clear here. Legal for Games Workshop tournaments. Local tournaments, your hobby, your club, all that stuff. No one's gonna stop you. The people, the developers here, they're not gonna stop you. They're making a decision probably for balance reasons, as well as all the other reasons they announced too. I'm not keen on this. I would rather these be tournament legal for all game systems, because Games Workshop won't allow it. That might filter out, and it might make it harder for people who have these armies and love these armies to want to bring them on the table. Now, I get not going to be support. They won't receive ongoing support. I hope they receive some support. That's my hope with the change, that they will receive some support and they will get minor updates just so they can stay tournament legal. I don't need them to be the best thing ever. I understand that they're not going to get narrative. They're going to be just sitting on the side. That's perfectly fine with me to start, because we're building a foundation with this new game. But not being tournament legal for Games Workshop events is going to be rough. And what I would say personally, like, everyone voice your opinion, do it politely, because people are making business decisions as well as fashion decisions. And I'm sure, the developers here weren't keen to do this either, because they know there's lots of Lizardmen, Dark Elves, Skaven, Ogre. There's tons of these players out here, and they're going to probably feel kind of ostracized at the moment, despite getting free rules. Like I said, locally, other tournaments, it's going to be the TO's decision. I'm hoping, like I said, my main hope for why they'll eventually add the support, at least enough support so they can be tournament legal, is otherwise the community might try and adjust these and make them tournament legal themselves, which leads to a weird comp, which leads to a whole mess that I don't ever want to go into again. I don't hate comp as much as I used to, but it could get real messy real quick. But regardless, this is the state of it. I'm not keen on this decision, but it is what it is, and we'll just have to, like I said, voice our opinions in a positive, polite fashion in order to hopefully get the change we want in the world. Anyway, if you want to come along this journey with us, Factions on the Forces Fantasy Wrapping Hordes are the ones you want to collect and play, and we want to be very clear about that. I am glad they're doing this before the pre-orders tomorrow, because that would be something more feel bad. It's people spending money and then going like, oh, what do you mean? I can't take this to a tournament. It's just GW tournaments. Other tournaments, it's going to be decision by decision. Like I said, if there's concern about this, like me, like, voice your opinion politely. There's still people we're dealing with here, and they're making decisions based that they had to make. Like I said, I for one hope that they make Legacy Factions tournament legal, and at least legal enough to, like, even if it's updates once a year or every 6 months, like, it can be minor. Even if they don't get model support, narrative support, I just want to see tournament legal support. Regardless, we can harp on that. Some people are going to take some really hot takes on this because they want to get the clicks and views. I think we can be very even-handed and accepting of this, while still pushing back enough in a correct fashion to hopefully get the change we want in the world. Moving on. It's enough to say about that. How important was mapping out these lands in design process? This map, I think it was like Holly on the team and Luis Snugden were the ones that worked on this map. Crazy level of detail. I do want to do a video diving into this map because it's interactive on the website here. Like I said, they say that they can zoom in more and more in different areas of the map. There's Easter eggs hidden about. This helped with the heraldry. Obviously, Total Warhammer series helped with this. Helped us in, like, getting idea, because they wanted to make it really fleshed out. Because all the old world maps kind of varied slightly and changed over time. It was always still the same shape, but it was like now we're getting nitty gritty. We need to cement some things, so it's great. See, much like our iconography we worked on has been designed, so at a glance you can find the territory on these maps. See Wyvern and Bretonia, you know that's the king. Easy. Like I said, Easter eggs, calling back to even the 3rd edition Warhammer. That'll be fun to see. I actually need to see if this works on mobile. I know it works on PC, but that'd be fun. All right, final thoughts from the developer, because I'm guessing this is the last Almanac daily, at least till after the launch, when they start talking about things post-launch. But anyway, it's weird to think work on this in some capacity for so long. As a game designer, it's rare to get this amount of time to dive deep into rules and dig out ideas. Got strong options, which editions we prefer, which others we like, and if we're a fan of Magic card systems or not. I like 8th edition Magic, but I understand why it's changed. Very strange bringing back an old game, old ranges, people we know and love. It wasn't simple. We had to dive into the archive, retrieve old models. Yeah, they had to do a lot of back-end work. I'm sure that was exciting, though. Like, just stuff forgotten for time, and they get to dig it out and find it. Because miniatures had scaled up, more dynamic, 3-dimensional, better technology, so we're in for a good place going forward. All this was carefully considered, early in development. Paint up 2 full, for the base sizes. Paint up 2 full units, and then use plastic card for different base sizes to see which one they want, whether the old 20s or the 25s. And everyone liked the 25s because they rank up better, and I am for that, because if you've ever played, especially Dwarf warriors. Unless you put them at that weird angle, they don't rank up at all, and they're just awful. So I'm glad for the base size changes. They don't bother me at all. I've rebased multiple times. I waited to rebase until we get the official documents, which I'm assuming is going to be in the book. We'll probably find out all tomorrow when all the embargo lifts and everybody's talking about it. But yes, I like that change that we're going to bigger sizes. And they can talk for hours. Like I said, this has been a great journey of articles. I love the in-depth knowledge. The only thing that isn't my favorite is the not tournament legal legacy factions, at least for Games Workshop tournaments. But like I said, that is what it is. Be the positive change. Be polite if you disagree with this. No need to devolve into a ravening horde. Let's just get this game started, get going, and then hopefully over time they'll see that, hey, you know what? These legacy option factions, people care about them. Let's put a little bit more effort into them to get them where they need to be for tournament legal, even if it's not full support. Anyway, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed these daily videos, and apparently twice daily videos. I guess, yeah, good luck on pre-orders tomorrow. Until next time, which maybe I'll do a video Sunday or next week. Until next time, get hyped for Old World, stay Stormcast strong, and happy hobbying.